All right, it says we are live, so let's see. We are live. We are live. All right, let's share it out.
First, mine is like clocking and I'm frozen. I always love the angry faces that Frozen like gives you.
All right. Got that shared out. Share to my child, see if he's watching. All right.
All right, I just shared to my news feed. So
All right.
see.
Okay. All right. Okay. So that is awesome. I'm super excited to be here. What about you, Megan?
Of course, I always look forward to my Wednesdays. I love this.
Thank you for whoever's already joining us. This is going to be so much fire, as it always is. Thank you for joining us for Ebony and Ivory on spiritual growth. We also have created a group. So if you'd love to see us, come join us there. So we'll also be streaming in there as well. I'm super, super grateful for it. This time it's just a beautiful time. And I'm off.
Catch those words.
I am so excited to be here today, just because it didn't start out as a great day for me, but as I went through the day and as I used my tools that we share and talk about, I was able to help myself to move into a different space so that I could come on here and talk to you. So I had a really great day. I ended up going to have lunch with the young lady, which was amazing. And to me, it was another one of those opportunities that I said yes to that typically I might have said no to. Yeah, so it was another one of those. And I think it was great. We had a really good conversation. Lunch actually was really good. What did I have? I had chicken marsala, which was really good. Yeah, so it was just a nice time. And also we were able to talk about some things as well as, in the spiritual genre, because she also is a spiritual healer as well. And so one of the things that came up was, why do we struggle as spiritual healers? Why? What is the reason?
Well, I think I have the answer for that. And it's because of our purpose. I really do. The more I step into my role, the more, I embrace my light, the more cheat just comes, to mind to me when I think about things. And, God and, taking, into the Bible, because I do love referencing back to the Bible.
For sure.
To it is that, life's not supposed to be hard.
Right.
But when you aren't taught the proper things in life, when you aren't taught, because the examples that you have don't know how to regulate their own emotions, they don't know how to do these, and that you continue those patterns, it's like, and everyone says life is a test. Well, it is a test, but it's whether or not, you cheated because you got by. Like, that's kind of how I look at it.
I didn't die.
I did die, but I cheated.
Right.
I cheated, for basically 38 years onto it until basically it was, boop, stop. And I had to, go back and really, think about it, in school, if you cheat off someone's test, you don't go back and you don't learn the information. You just go on and, you hope you get by. Mm-hmm. What we do until it gets to a point of that you don't know any of the information. You don't know what the hell's going on in the class because you skipped this part, you skipped that part, you skipped that. And now you're sitting here with your thumb up your butt because you don't freaking know. And think it gets to is that, we didn't have the great role models. We didn't have the people who showed us. We didn't have those environments that were conducive to growing. And so you have to stop. You have to stop and say, okay, I didn't learn this information.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you know what? That old saying, you can't teach an old dog new tricks. I call bullshit, because you can't. You can, but you have to be willing to do it. You have to be willing to accept that you don't know everything, and that obviously where you are in life is not where you want to be. You're surrounded by people that you don't want to be, but you are the common denominator. You are the common, and so you have to go back. And then as you go back and you heal, and there's layers and layers and layers and layers of it, you have to learn.
Yeah.
And you can't blame other people, I mean, God, how easy is that to do, is to blame everyone else, for yourself. And yeah, I mean, in some ways you can blame, because of this or happened because they didn't teach you, but you can't blame them, because
but what difference does that even make? And what the hell good is it going to do you?
Responsibility, because
nothing. It's like you can blame people all day, but does that change your situation? Does that change anything?
Ultimately, it comes down to you didn't learn, because there are resources, there are different things. I had outlets, I had things, but when I look at it, it was those outlets that I had that I could have necessarily been taught. It was so normal, it felt wrong.
Right.
So I had to get out of that environment, because that wasn't the environment that I was in constantly. But if I would have embraced it at that time, things could have been different, but it was my choice not to embrace that uncomfortable, which would have been the healthy part. That would have been the healthy thing to do, but I didn't. And so, yeah, I could sit here and I could blame anyone and everything on that. But the fact of the matter is I failed the test. I chose not to learn the information when I had the resources to do it. And so guess what I had to do? I had to go back to the beginning.
You had to go back to school.
I had to go back to school. And, and the reality is that modern school is not my thing. Modern school, like I've studied, we've talked about, I have a psychology background, I've studied social work and I've studied forensic psychology. But when it comes down to the end of the day of getting that degree, because so many people are like, just get the degree, you'll be so much more accredited. The fact is, why am I going to waste my time on getting that piece of paper when I don't believe in the morals and the ethics behind it? Of the Western psychology is just to label you, and
it's bullshit.
It's bullshit. Where, getting in touch with, the Eastern psychology and the ancient ways, I did years of therapy.
Well, because they take you to yourself.
Right. And
they take you to yourself so that you dive deep inside of you.
Yeah. And that's when I finally started to get healing, years of therapy, years of, taking antidepressants and stuff like that. I mean, it was bad. Like, when I was 24, I had settled and I had decided on that my life that I was going to have to take a pill for the rest of my life. And I did, until I died. 38 when I died, and I was like, no more. Like, I had to shed every aspect, every skin. And I was like, my life is not revolved around a pill. Like, there has to be more. And, and I learned it. And, I got to something that finally spoke to my soul. It was finally like, I finally started to get healing. I was finally, through crystals, through the chakra, through the sound therapy was actually my first start. That was where I really, and that really, it really started to light me. I started to have feelings that, I'd honestly had shut for so long that started to come to the surface. And that was my start in all of it. We don't realize, but and now, it's coming, forth to where we are.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And what is sound? Sound is a frequency. So no wonder that is what my soul needed at that time, is that it needed some vibration to it, because I was living dead.
Yes.
Go back to that saying of, there's lots of religions. And I love that we're talking about this, because there's so much posts about the frequencies and stuff like that. And I've posted, one of the big people I've studied is Dr. David Hawkins. He was, groundbreaking for the time period of that. He was 60s and the 70s. really deep into this. And, he not only has on to the mystical side of it, but he does have the whole religion. He has the theological, he has all of that studying onto it. But, the saying of all religions have a prayer that says, and he will come and judge the living and the dead. And that throws people for a loop, that throws like, how can he judge the living? How can he judge the dead? Well, the dead are the people who are under 200 in the map of consciousness. When you're walking around with the shame, the guilt, the anger, the hate, the agony, all of that, you're not living life.
Exactly.
You're not, you're
dead.
Dead.
You just don't know it.
You just don't know it. You're walking.
What's the show? You're the Walking Dead.
You're the Walking Dead. And, and there it's kind of funny on like some of those shows about how you see necessarily of what those actually were talking about onto it. And it's like, okay, it
makes sense.
It makes complete sense now. But you have to recognize it. You have to see those patterns and, the dysfunction.
Well, you have to also know that it's dysfunction.
Right.
Because when you're living in it, you think that's normal. I mean, it's the same way like domestic violence,
Yeah.
Somebody you get your ass beat every day. It's what and that's normal for you. And you think everybody else is getting their ass beat every day.
And
that's the thing.
I have a great kind of example of this, trying to explain some of this, my one son is very, open to education and learning and not in the technical modern ways, but so, I'm divorced and I have 2 kids and I live away and their father lives away. And so last night, my youngest, they're over there and he's on the phone with me and he is like, just so mad. He's so angry because, and his brother does do this, but like when he's over there, when they're over there, like the violence between them exists. Over here, not to say boys will be boys, they're troublemakers and, but they have fun. But like over there, like, my youngest will just be minding his own business. And then my oldest will just like basically like barge into his room and like attack him. And he's like angry about it. He's like, why does he do this here, but he doesn't do it at your house? And I'm like, well, do we really want to have a conversation about it? I was like, do you really want to like get to the deep of it? And he was like, yeah. And I was like, well, you have to look at it. I said, when this is happening, your brother has a need. Your brother has some type of need over there that's not being met. And so he needs something. He needs something to feed that because he doesn't know how to regulate it. He's walking around on eggshells. He's doing that type of ordeal over there. So what does he do? I said, he comes into your room, and then he aggravates you. And I said, but you feed him because you get emotional. And that's what he wants. That's what he wants, that interaction, and I was like, negative action is, it's attention onto it. I said, but you all start fighting then, and then you start screaming, you start crying. I said, but then what happens? And he's like, Dad starts yelling at us. And I said, ding, ding, ding. I said, so now what it really was is that your brother wanted your dad's attention, but he was too busy. He was, not doing anything. So now he comes to you, gets you all, fired up, you all yelling and screaming and stuff like that, which now gets your father distracted from whatever he's doing that is more important than,
whatever it is.
Now he's involved. Now you all are all just yelling at each other. I said,
for no reason.
Not attention. For no reason.
And what has it actually solved at all?
Right. Because now they're all just angry. Now they're all just mad. Now they're all just screaming at each other. And I was like, Grayson, that's called dysfunction. I said, that's the cycle. And he's like, well, how do I make it stop? And I was like, stop feeding your brother. Stop. Because then he'll have to learn over there to figure it out another way. And he's like, but why doesn't he do it over at your house? Why doesn't he act this way? And I'm like, because he knows that whenever he needs something, he can come talk to me.
I was going to say, and the other thing is he knows you're not going to put up with that in that house anyway.
Oh, yeah.
He knows, for me, how I used to describe it is, this is a house of peace. Yeah. And that's what I'm going to have. But
needs are also met.
But needs are met. Exactly.
Because, children don't know how to regulate that.
If they need something, then they know they can come to you.
Right.
said the same thing, because people ask. I said, well, I always kept an open door for my children and allowed them to come and talk to me about anything. They still do. Some stuff I don't want to talk to them, but they still do.
Right. But, you know, but
my boys.
It's a perfect example of, like, you know, you don't see the necessary patterns of all that, because, and, you know, it goes into my one post of like, why, once you see, why would you want to go back? Why? Because the fact of the matter is like, my marriage house used to be that way. And I was even a part of it. I was a part of that, you know, that fighting and those outrages, because that's how my ex-husband and I communicated, you know, because he's a narcissist. And so, you know, they're the most traumatized of them all. Me trying to like get my point across of like, dude, relax, you know.
I was going to say, like, what difference does it make?
Right.
That's how they think. Yeah.
Yeah. And, but, you know, it's that constant fight. And it's like, now, like, I see it, you know, like I now like recognize of, you know, even the conversations and stuff like that, that I, you know, overhear with different things. And it's like, why would you go back to that? Like, why would you go back and settle into that discomfort? Why are we living that way? Why are we fighting to have to get our points across, or having to act out in an emotional way just to be heard and seen? You know, it's just
because people are afraid.
Yeah.
They're afraid. They're afraid to make change. They're afraid of transition. They're afraid. Even if you tell them, you know, it's so much better over here. Come over here with us. Come over here. It's so much better over here. You know, we can help you, blah, blah, blah. Come on. You know, but so many women, they won't leave. And I have to say men too, because men are abused as well.
They are.
So many people, they won't leave. You're like, what is wrong with you? Why can't you see that this is crazy?
But, you know, but I was that for 38 years. And so,
well, that's what I'm saying.
That's planted in my head, you know, and like, you know, I was called naive. That was like, you know, that was the set off for me. It's like being called naive. And it was really, it's kind of like naive, you know, what am I naive about? And then, well, we like to start rolling out the list of everything that I was naive about. But, you know, but that's the great thing now is that, you know, I'm not defensive about it. You know, I can admit my wrongs on all of it. I can see my own part into it, and I can laugh about it now and be like, hey, I thought that was normal. You know, I thought that, you know, I thought that's how everyone's families were, you know, I thought everyone left the holiday tables yelling and screaming at each other, throwing things, you know.
You thought that everyone just lived that way.
Everyone just lived that way, you know, because there was nothing special about us.
Because it's normal for you.
Right.
And this is what normal means to you. Because people always say, well, why can't you just be more normal? Well, what the fuck does normal mean? Normal is subjective to every single person.
It's your environment.
You know, what's normal for me might not be normal for you. No. You know, same. You know, it's like, wait a minute, who defines what normal is anyway?
Right. But I think that's one of the sad things about society is that we have just accepted this dysfunction, you know, which we've talked about of, you know, with kids and, you know, teaching them that, you know, okay, well, you act this way with these people, you act this way with these people, you act that way with those people. And like, we wonder why there's so much mental health issue and, you know, kids don't know who they are.
Because they're 3 or 4 different people.
We are, we're putting that on them, but and not in a fault of our own, because guess what? We were raised that way. We were raised that way. And that's where, you know, a lot of people are like, are you the generation breaker? Are you the curse breaker? And this is acknowledging it, putting light onto the, like, hey, this is not right. This is not, no. And it's
because
not
because you think about it. So like, I have to say from my vantage point as a person of color, we've always had to do that. Right. It's like what we were taught.
Right.
This is how you act over here. This is how you act over here. This is how you act over here. And if you don't act like this, then, you know, they might revoke your black card. You know, like if you say, oh, I don't eat watermelon or, you know, whatever, then, you know, you might get your black card revoked. You know what I'm saying? So it's like this is how we have been like conditioned. It's like, this is what you do. Right. You know, you don't go up in the job acting like you might act, you know, at home or with your friends. You know what I mean? So it's like we've always had this conditioning, but they've taken it even farther than that, even farther. And so the poor kids, just like you said, they almost don't have no choice but to be schizophrenic.
Yeah.
You're like, what's going on here? And this is what we're doing. But as we awaken and as we begin to get more woke,
it's beautiful.
Yes, then it's a beautiful thing.
The changes that you can make, and and that's like a beautiful thing of like, my relationship with my kids is like, I can have that conversation with my child, and make my child completely aware of the dysfunction of that. But hey, if you want to change, if you want this change, I'm not telling my son that, like, guess he's brought that up. What, you just telling me I'm supposed to be bullied? No, I'm not telling you to be bullied. I'm telling you right way, and there's a situation, a wrong way to handle it. But how you are handling the situation right now by being over emotional into it, which your emotions are valid, your emotions are completely, but is that getting you the response that you want? Right.
Is that what you desire?
And he's like, no. And I said, then why do you continue to doing it? That's the definition of insanity, doing something over and over again and expecting something different. It's not gonna happen. So you can't change another person. You're not going to change, in this example of like, you're not going to change your brother, because your brother is going to do this, but you can change how you respond.
Yes.
Not feeding him, by not giving that emotional outburst, which is what he is looking for from you.
Right.
That's what's going to happen. When you're not feeding him and you're not giving him that emotional outburst, he's going to get bored with it. And then he's going to have to figure out something else because you're not giving him the reaction. That's how
that's exactly how we react out here in the world, the same way. If stuff starts coming at you, if you don't feed it, you don't give it any reaction, you don't, you don't focus on it, put your focus all on it, then it's just going to pass on through, and same way with a lot of things, you don't put any energy into it, just let it go. Just let it go. Just do like Frozen, just let it go, let it go.
But that's a thing that and it took me a long time to realize on how that let it go, because we fester. I
was gonna say it took a lot of us. Most of it, I mean, and you know what? Sometimes we still hold on to stuff.
Yeah.
Even though we know. So we're not sitting here saying it's easy to do and just do it. Just let it go. We're not talking Mary Poppins and no shit like that.
No.
We're talking about,
because believe me, I prayed for that damn genie in the bottle. I wanted those wishes, and I wanted that fairy godmother with that magic wand who was going to come, but I
wanted the prince,
Right. But I even thought about that the other day. I was walking my dog, and Genie in a Bottle, that old TV show, Genie, like popped in his head. And I started thinking about like how many people, like, given 3 wishes, like what would most everyone really, what would you wish for? Most people are gonna, oh, I want that house, I want that money, I want that car. Okay, great, you have all that. Are you happy?
Then what? Right. Then what?
Are you happy? I love there's lots of posts that go around about that, about how like you run into someone, like 20 years that you haven't seen them, oh, what's your job? Oh, where do you live? No one asks anyone, are you happy? No one asks, are you happy?
I agree. No one cares.
No one. Because the fact of the matter is most people aren't happy.
No.
And that's like,
and if you ask somebody else, are they happy? And you're not happy? Well, how does that make you feel?
Yeah. Oh yeah, people all the time are like, I have a guy who walks, I sit outside all the time in nature and stuff, and he walks the neighborhood, every night. And every time he sees me, he's like, there's Miss Wonderful. And I just bust out laughing because of the fact that, he would always walk and he'd be like, how are you? And I'm like, I'm wonderful. How about yourself? And so then it would be, are you always wonderful? And I'm like, I am. It's a mindset. And so I threw him up the one day. I was like, I'm peachy.
Exactly.
But he was like, I love that. He was like, he said, because you're always outside here. You're always outside smiling. You're always, on that. And I'm like, it's a mindset. It is a mindset that I choose to be Wonderful. I choose to be happy every day because shit,
Yes.
yes, I could sit here all damn day dwelling about stuff. I'm not saying my
Yes.
life is perfect. I'm not saying that I have everything that I want. I'm not saying that, you know, I don't have struggle.
Well, the thing of it is if you did shit, I mean, you know, you deserve it.
Yeah. Yeah.
What's the problem with that? I'm like, I'm supposed to have everything that I desire, and I'm not supposed to fucking have to work for it.
Yeah.
You know, I'm not supposed to. That's not something that's in my fucking, you know, it's not even in my design.
Yeah. No, it's not my design.
I'm like, fuck, I ain't supposed to work for it. No. So what's the problem with that? That is the thing. That's the question. Why do we have a problem? You know, if people have stuff, why?
Because they don't. And it comes down to that jealousy, you know. But what have you done to have that? What have you done? And I think that there's just so many people who are just like so righteous of, you know, of, well, I should have that. And I think a lot of it comes down to the arrogance of necessarily of degrees, even, you know, some, you know, onto that just because you've done that you should have this or that, or your life should be this way. Okay. But guess what we're still doing? We're focusing on external. What have you done inside? What have you done inside your heart to attract that? What have you done to raise that vibration? What have you done to heal? Because everyone has trauma. We all have things.
Everyone. If you talk to 5 people, they will all have been through something that you can qualify as PTSD.
Yep.
Every single one of them.
Yep. But you can get rid of it. You can get rid of it. I healed
exactly
complex PTSD. You know, I did that with, you know, all the modalities that I have done. I no longer.
But you have to want it. That's what I'm learning. You have to want it, because you can tell people all day long till you're blue in the face that they can heal from what the fuck ever, because you can heal from what the fuck ever, anything and everything. You can tell them. We can tell them. You know, I've done some energy work on some people that, you know, didn't think that they could heal from what the fuck ever, and it did heal. You know what I'm saying? And so people have to believe it. That's the whole thing. It's like they have to get rid of all of those negative self-limiting beliefs that we've been spoon-fed and taught and over our life, and TV, and, you know, parents and other people and all kinds of people just spewing all this shit at us. And so we have all of this stuff that we have to transmute those negative beliefs, because if we don't, then we'll fucking never believe that we can be what we can be, you know, what our destiny is, because we all have one. Now, many of us never make it. Many of us take it to the grave with us. I know a few people that have. You do too. So the thing is, you know, when we make a decision and when we start on this path of spiritual growth and on this awakening path, and we make this decision that, yes, this is what we're going to do. We're going to get rid of these beliefs that don't serve me no damn way. They never served us. But we didn't know that.
We're going to reprogram it.
That's what I was going to say. We've got to I love that word, transmute. I don't know what it is about it, but I love it. So I'm like, we have to transmute those. We have to, because, you know, because at one point, right, somehow in our mind, we have to get to this place where we believe that these things are not serving us. You know, because I hear people all the time, they say all kinds of shit that don't even make no sense. And you're like, were you thinking when you said that, or did you just spew it out of your mouth?
But you know, the reality is they were. That's
the sad reality.
It is the sad reality. And, you know, but that's like the beautiful part of like being awoken, is because like you sit around and like you observe now people and, you know, things that they come out and they say out of their mouth, and being in a healed part. And it's kind of like, if you really knew how other people took what you are saying right now, you would go look at yourself in the mirror, because I know what you just said is not really truly a reflection of you. But that is what just came out your mouth. And the sad part is
that is what you just said.
There's a part of you that resonates with what you just said,
which is scary.
Right. And so it's like, when you want that change, well, why is it that you said? But I think people get hung up on the saying of that we can't change the past.
Right.
I think that goes a lot within, spiritual healing of that, it is what it is. And we've had that conversation before, and it is what it is. You can't, the situation, you cannot change, but you can go back as the observer. You can go back in that time period, time travel, but a lot of people don't want to. That was part of my hang up on my healing. I already I lived it. Why the hell do I want to relive it? Why do I want to go back through the emotions? But I had to, because
that's how I had to write my book, because I didn't want to go back through it.
Yeah.
That was hell.
We lived it once and we survived it. But the fact that you're still in survival mode because you didn't learn anything new onto it. So you've carried survival mode. So if you want to heal and you want to get out of survival mode, you got to put on your big girl panties. We got to put on the damn boots, because guess what? We're going to go trucking through some mud. We're going to go truck through some deep, dark, your dark shadow. You got to go back, and you have to face it. The monsters and the demons of why is it, like perfect example of, people with eating disorders, and say, later on in life, where did that disorder come from? People, like I've spoken to a few people here lately who with eating disorders, and they're like, I don't know, I've always been this way. Well, honey, there was a point in time you weren't.
That's, that, yeah.
But they don't even realize that, because it's been so long that they have lived like this and they have been this way, where it's like, we got to go back.
Yeah.
You have to go back to wherever it was in
where you picked that up.
Where you picked that up at. Who gave that thought to you? Who put that in your head? And we need to go back and say, shut the hell up. We need to go. And that's where it's like, that's like what I do of reprogramming. We go back to those. We go back to, well, why do you think this about yourself? Why is that you believe that? And it's hard, but I did it. I had 38 years to work through onto it. So, I mean, it's complete. You're 70 years old. It's still possible. You can still change your life onto it and get out of that survival. You just got to have the guts and the courage to say, I'm not living this way anymore. I deserve more, and,
exactly.
A great saying of, we're both coaches and we both do this onto it. But, if you really want change, it is from elite level coaching. That's your number one step, because you're obviously not where you are now. But then it takes the commitment on yourself, but then it's repeated facts over and over and over again. And it's the truth. It's your true integrity is what you're going back to find.
Yes.
Your truth of who you truly were before society got a hold of you, before any of that jealousy or any of that got a hold of you onto it. But you got to go back and find who you were, the truth of who you were before it all happened.
Like your true essence really is what you have to do. It's like what we're looking for is, who were we before all of that? Yeah. Before we stepped in all this.
Who could we have been?
Right. Who were we created to be? That's the other thing. Once you start moving in those shadows and moving in those places, and you start finding this one, your divine feminine. Yeah. You start finding out, and you start looking at things and saying, wait a minute. No, I wasn't always like this. Because I hear people saying that all the time. I have always had anxiety. I have always been depressed. I was like, you were not that when you were born.
Maybe you weren't that way at 5. You maybe weren't that way at 10. Maybe something happened to you at the age of 11 that all of a sudden that created, but you got to go back.
So what happened? Right.
And you got to go back and be the observer. You got to be able to go back, and I'm going to mess it up because now that I want to say the quote by Joe Dispenza, and it's one of my favorite quotes, but now that I've put myself, now that I put myself on the spot, I can't, it's just blanked out of my mind, but it does say the true healing is when you can be the observer of your life. It's something along the lines of that. And that was one of the first interactions that I had with him onto it. And that quote just made me think of just like, wait, how do I observe? Like, like how, and that just kind of like made a whirlwind of just so many emotions, so many thoughts, so many different things. And then it was like the one day it just kind of like clicked. It's not that I'm reliving it, because I don't have to actually go through the emotions of it. I mean, you do in, some ways onto it, but you can go back and, because especially people in trauma situations, the fact of the matter is you replay those moments in your head. Those
generally over and over and over and over and over again.
But you don't realize it because
well, and then you
subconscious.
I was gonna say, you can always revise too. That's another thing.
Right.
There's that law of revision. You could always revise it, which is one of my favorite things and ways to do. I love that.
But people don't
go ahead and just flip it around and revise it.
That you're on autopilot.
Right.
Created that autopilot of it, but yet where and how about?
Because that's another way to numb out.
It is.
Going on autopilot, you just numb out because you're just doing, you're just moving roadly, doing the thing, whatever the hell it is you do every day, and you're just doing it. And you wake up in the morning, you do the same shit, and then do the same shit, and then go to bed at night, and and just one day just turns into the next. Just all that. And that is another way to numb out. That's another way to not be present.
Appreciation.
Yeah.
And guess what that also goes more into? The map of consciousness. And you're part of the dead. You're not doing anything. You're not living. And even when you do anything that's out of your ordinary, doesn't it exhaust you? Because you had to exert so much energy to try to find some type of happiness that, like I love the people who are like, you need a vacation from a vacation. Vacations should be stressful. Vacations,
but they can be.
They can be, and with kids, and I'm not saying that, but
especially if you go with kids.
We put all these expectations on this or that or that or that, and it's like, why aren't we just kind of going with it? Like why?
Because
taking a break.
Because nobody did that in our family.
Actually, that is one thing I did. Like we used to go to the beach with my uncle's family once a year. The rule in the house was that if you wanted something from an adult, you better ask before a bathing suit goes on, because once the bathing suit goes on, they ain't leaving the house and they ain't doing anything, and you on your own. So we became the island rats because of the fact we all took our bikes and everything like that, because when we found out where the little convenience stores were, we found out where all that stuff was, because they were busy drinking down on the beach, onto it. So, I mean, I did, have that, environment of like, you relax, but no one does do that. It's, oh, we got to go see this. We got to go do that. Oh, we got to do that. Why can't we make okay, well, this day we're going to go do all that. And why can't we?
I'm telling you, that's exactly how we do our trips. People will be like, oh, did you see this? And did you see that? I was like, nah, we didn't see that. No, we didn't see that. No, we didn't go there. We went here and we went here and we went here. And then we took a day to fucking relax, like, because it's vacation.
Yeah. But
we took a day to get in the fucking hot tub almost all day,
But that's where it comes into society, is like, if you don't go do this or that, or you don't come back with these type of stories or this or that, well then
souvenirs.
Oh yeah.
Don't forget those.
Yes, gotta have those.
Yeah.
Why?
Did you go to SeaWorld really? You didn't bring a cup or a mug?
And it's like, who made up these expectations and these things? Oh, the economy. Oh, you got to feed into that.
I was gonna say Walt Disney, of course.
Yeah, but it's like, so like, I don't know. It's like, we were having that conversation.
It's exhausting is what it is.
It is. And then but you can laugh because we used to be part of that rat race. You know, we were on that hamster wheel. Like we were on that, just like go, 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 go. But what happened to us? We got hit.
We burned the fuck out.
Burned the hell out. We got
Like,
hit.
I'm
We got
done.
down on our ass. And it was, all right, well, shit, what do we do now?
Where do we go from here?
We go from here, because I ain't going back.
Mm-mm.
I already saw.
Because I think about that, it's like I always think about in the Bible the children of Israel. So now Moses brought them out of the wilderness. I mean, out of the, from Egypt. Moses brought them from Egypt, brought them into, the land of plenty where they had manna every day and God was feeding them and all this shit. Well, they murmured and complained because they wanted to go back to fucking Egypt.
Why?
Well, because in Egypt, at least they had food. And even though they worked like fucking mules and they had to turn the brick into straw and all that shit, or the straw into brick or whatever the hell it was, even though they had to do these things, they still had those stuff. It was familiar to them. It's what they knew. And that's exactly the same way as people look now. It's familiar to them. So, why would you go someplace else when you have everything you need right here? Yeah, you're a slave, but you have everything you need. And it's like,
Why do you want to be a slave?
Right. That would be my question, because I already know I could not have lived back in those times.
I probably
they'd have killed my black ass and strung me right up.
I probably got
Put me in the war,
arguing and fighting with them and be like,
you see what I'm saying? I'm like, I know I couldn't have lived. So, I thank the good Lord every day that I'm in this. But you think about this, like, why do you want that? And but the other piece is, if you don't know that you're a slave,
right?
You don't know that inside your mind you are a slave. Then why would you want to make a change?
Yeah.
And that's where we are with people today.
Yeah.
It's like they don't know, they don't realize, they don't know that they got chains all over them.
Right.
They're completely fucking bound, almost chained underwater, like whoever that was in the cartoon.
What cartoon?
They had somebody chained underwater. There was a bad person or whatever, and one of the gods that was evil or something, I can't remember. It was a cartoon, it was a movie, probably before your time. It's okay. It's all good. No worries. But It was like an underworld type of thing. Like they were chained underneath the water. This particular god, God, for the life of me, I can't remember the name of the god. But they had chained him underwater to keep him out of, from doing shit.
But yeah, why? It's like, but again, like we get it because we were there. And then we had our awakening and it was like, I ain't going back. And what was the first thing? Desire, passion. And then, for me, change of environment. And then it became elite level coaching. That's where it had to start from. And to then, well, it didn't start there really for me, but it had to the reprogramming of, why do I think this way? Why is it that,
Yes.
Why does this keep happening to me?
Mm-hmm.
And I had to realize I was the common denominator. I was the person, I had to realize, the fact of that I wore all my emotions on my sleeve. I was bleeding. I was so damn infected that, like narcissists, like why did I always attract narcissists into my life? Well, it's because they smelled my wounds. They smell, they breed off of that. And, if someone asked me the other day, like, how do you kill a narcissist? And I was like, you don't. And they're like, but how do you get rid of them? And I'm like, you rise above them.
You do what?
You think about rise above them. Like the pyramid aspect onto that, they, like a narcissist really kind of sits like on the map of consciousness. If you really kind of think about it, they sit at like the 400, 500 because they have accepted, of where they are. They know what the hell they're doing. They know exactly what they're doing,
Yeah, they like being messy.
They like being messy. They like all of that, and they breed. So like think of yourself as like the food chain. you know, the pyramid food chain, you know, well, they sit there about, you know, that 400 or 500 line mark because they are acceptance of who they are, because they have to figure out how to lie to cover up who they are. So they're in acceptance of it. So if you want to beat a narcissist, because you can't beat them at this low level, you know, game, you got to rise above them. So you have to get to, you know what, acceptance. You have to accept that this happened to you. You have to accept that this was a part of your path. This was a part of your journey. And then guess what happens? You start to love yourself. Then, you know, you rise up, and that whole shaking them away, you know, the people, well, now they can't touch you. Now you're higher on the food chain. So it's not a thing of like killing them. You can't, they'll get theirs. They'll, you know, don't worry about them. You know, you reap what you sow onto it. And that's another part of rising above them onto it, is realizing and understanding. And that is not saying people like be going and praying that something bad happens to them, because you call that upon yourself. You pray for them. You pray that they heal. You pray that they, you know, acknowledge their own witnesses, but you focus on what you can control. You focus on you of raising yourself above them onto it, and then they can't touch you anymore. Yeah. And they have nothing on you. Yeah. Now, does that not mean that they are not going to come with the chisel and start like trying to break down? Hell yes. No. Yes, they will. They will sit there and they will try to. No,
I'm saying that doesn't mean that.
But it doesn't matter, because you now have the biggest thing that they don't have, which they want: love. Yeah.
Because they don't have, I honestly, truly don't believe they have a capacity for love.
No, I don't think so.
I don't think they can.
They don't even love themselves.
Exactly. I was going to say, I think it's so outside of themselves that they have no idea or understanding of that.
They have no empathy. They have no compassion. They have integrity. They have like every quality of that you don't want to have,
of evilness.
But, you know, and it's funny because, you know, like with the law of polarity, and that's the sad part. And I think that's where some people, and myself included, you know, I used to get trapped into like narcissists because of the fact I saw that potential in them. I saw the law of polarity in them, is that, yeah, you might have been this way, but, you know, I could maybe help you get here into it. Well, I didn't realize, you know, what they were doing to me while I was trying to get them. They were bringing me down to their level. Instead of me rising above them and getting away from them, you know, I got suckered into all of that. And then they put me down below them, and that fed them. Fed the narcissist. Well, guess what? I'm no longer a part of that bottom feeding ground.
What'd you say? I'm done.
I'm done. Bye, Felicia. Onto it. And it's so beautiful. But, you know, it's that self-love. That's that happiness. Are you happy? Are you happy with yourself? Happy.
Because I'm happy. I belong. If you feel like a room without a roof.
You know? But it does come down to it. You know, that's the ultimate is, you know, are you happy? And are you happy by yourself? You know, we hear a lot of people talking about that lonely, you know, you're never alone. The problem is when you sit there and talk about, oh, I'm so lonely. I'm so lonely. I need someone to be with me. I need someone to be. Are you not a person? Do you not consider yourself a human being? And that is the reality, is that we forget that.
I must admit, I loved the time that I was alone. I loved it. Now, were there times where, you know, I wanted to be with somebody? Sure. But for the most part, I enjoyed it. And I think probably for me, because I wasn't ever alone. Ever in my life, I don't think, you know, because I got married 19, had my first baby 21. Yeah, no, was never alone. So when I was alone, oh my God, it was the most amazing time, the most revolutionary time. I didn't have to answer to any fucking body. Nobody bothered me. Nobody was coming in my room. None of that. It was just beautiful. I loved it.
The opposite for me of like always growing up, like I hated to be alone because that left me alone with my thoughts. So I needed the distraction of people because of the negative, nasty thoughts that were coming through my head constantly, looking for that validation. Like if I was alone,
Yeah.
that meant someone didn't like me right now. Someone didn't want to be by my side. Someone didn't want to be out doing this or something. And so I turned all of that into negative self-hate. I turned all of that, in towards me, and not even a sense of, well, shit, maybe they might just be busy. Maybe,
Right.
maybe they got a life.
But maybe they're just doing something else.
Right. But that never crossed my mind in those time periods. It was, I did something wrong. Oh my God, I have to go fix this. I have that. That was that people pleasing. That was, always of being responsible for someone else's emotions or something.
And thinking that you were, that's the other piece. Thinking that you were the one that was responsible for other people's fucking emotions. When hell, we can't be responsible for anybody else's damn emotions.
But being raised by narcissists, that is not what you were taught. That is
right.
Not what you were taught. I was responsible. I was responsible for everything that happened in that damn house.
Mm-hmm.
Even if I wasn't even there, I could have been gone for 2 damn weeks and I was still responsible for every damn thing that happened in that house for 2 weeks. And I was going to find out all about it as soon as I walked through that door, But, and it took me a long time to get where it's like, damn, even meditation. When I first started, and I love the saying, perfectionism, because I am, I have the 1858, perfectionism. Perfectionism takes practice. You can't start one thing one time and then expect you just know how to do it. But so many people just don't know how to do it. But, it took me a year to learn how to quiet my mind and meditate.
That's good, because some people never get that.
No. Yeah.
And the thing is too, you don't really have to do that. I mean, but it is a good thing. You can also just allow, just sit and allow. Yeah. Just don't focus.
Right.
Don't focus on.
Well, now I know that
you're a focal point if you want to practice. But because people get hung up on that. That's the reason why I said that. Because people get hung up and won't even try to meditate, because they say, oh, I can't quiet my mind. I was like, no, you don't have to do it that way. There are many different ways to meditate, so that you can connect, because really that's what you want to do is connect. That is the point really of meditating. It's like, you pray, you talk to God, meditating is God talking to you. Right. So really you just want that connection piece. Right. So you don't really have to quiet your mind. It's always a good thing if you can. However, you can just let the thoughts just fucking go. Just let them go. Just let them go. And imagine that as you're sitting there, imagine that the thoughts are just traveling like a train. Just traveling. Just traveling.
I was going to say, you're not. Actually, the way that I originally did it is spiritual bypass, onto it, because of the fact that I hadn't processed. So it was like, how can I get rid of all these thoughts? Like I'm now just numbing them in, ways of just like be quiet onto it. But yeah, it is. That's that reprogramming. It's that peace of mind of once you calm that mind, once you calm that nervous system, you can do it. You can sit down and you can meditate. Yeah. Peace that comes to it. Like people laugh at me, that's my lunch break at work. I go, I sit outside and I meditate. And, they come, I saw you outside sitting in these damn hand positions and stuff with these crystals on you. What are you doing?
Minding my business. Oh.
Right. Charging,
Look, you want me to mind yours?
Yeah. Like, and the things I have to say.
Right. Just doing what I need to do, handling my business. Yeah. You want me not to do this?
I'm connecting. No, they don't want to see that. And that's one of the reasons I do what I do, is because I center myself. I center who I am. I regulate my nervous system of, whatever has happened that morning at work and stuff like that. I clear that. I clear that energy. I let it go.
You do the Frozen. Let it go.
Let it go.
Oh, what's that other song? You gotta let it go.
Is that from the movie?
I think it's maybe Passenger.
I don't think I've seen that.
I don't know. It was real popular a couple of years ago. Well, a few years ago now. Yeah, because they used to play it every day on the radio. The only radio station we could get when I worked at the prison. We could only get one station. And they play that song every day. Yes.
Well,
every
they
day.
have a rotation of what?
At least twice a day.
Yeah. I was gonna say
Or
it's every
3 times.
hours, they do like the rotation of the same.
Yeah. We work 12-hour shifts. So yeah.
Yeah, you heard it like 4 times, girl.
That's what I was gonna say. Sometimes it would be like that song again.
But that's a great reminder in life onto it. Kind of think about it of that you to eliminate that cycle, you had to change your environment to where you could go get 2 stations.
Exactly.
You created that situation of having to be forced to listen to that song 4 times
to the one station.
Because there was only one station.
It was so crazy. It was so crazy. We used to, before we used to could get on YouTube or whatever. So we would get on YouTube and create us a playlist and stuff like that on the computer. And then they decided to block YouTube.
Because y'all were happy.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say, because we were happy. Because we create our playlist in the morning and we put it on and it would just play, and we would just, have a blast in there because we were inside the clinic.
Yeah.
We have a blast, the inmates come through, they have a blast, we all dancing. And then they decided, oh, we're going to get rid of that. So they blocked YouTube. So then we had to, I think, what did we do after that? Somebody had a Pandora, so we pulled that out.
Yeah. But you were trying to make those opportunities, and
trying to. I laugh. I said, if they would just allow people to play music, people would be so much more happy at work.
Oh, yeah. They laugh. I control the music at work. Well, I've actually, I've made it now, there's one station that does. And it's a great station because it's like one of those, I don't know, it's one of those Apple music things and stuff, but it plays the widest variety of music. So it is
instead of just the same shit.
Oh, well, if my boss had his way, it would just be country. It would just be country all day long. And finally, one day I looked at him and I was like, I cannot take another damn dead dog. Okay. I cannot sit here and listen to this whiny crap of my lover left me, my wife cheating on me, and my damn dog died.
Dog ran away. Yeah.
I cannot do it. And yeah, I'm a classic rock chick, and I love all the, Steve Miller bands and, all of that type of stuff like that, but it's a wide variety, Dave Matthews, you throw all of those.
Dave Matthews.
Yeah.
I think I've seen him once.
I've seen him in concert 4 times. Yeah, I used to go to lots of festivals in my younger days. So I've seen a lot.
Too. I miss that. I love doing that. Now we do the Jazz Alley, which is here. It's amazing. When you come visit, we'll have to do it. It's world famous. They just have all kinds of jazz artists come.
Yeah.
And it's real reasonable. That's the shit.
Yeah.
It's we saw what's her name? Mindy Abair, we saw her. It was $37.
No, that's not bad at all.
Yeah, really reasonable. Yeah. What's his name? That boy, Kenny G. He comes all the time up here because he lives here.
Yeah.
But he
the music.
But he was, girl, it was sold out. We couldn't even get a ticket.
Yeah.
I looked up, I said, oh my God, these people have sold out.
Everyone loves Kenny G though.
It was 5 days, girl.
I think that,
and some days were 2 shows.
I think generations of, there's some of those musics that it touches the souls and it just continues and continues and continues.
Yeah. Which I agree with, because like my kids, my boys used to sample Carole King.
Mm-hmm.
They used to sample Carole King in their raps.
Yeah.
So they would sample her and they did a rap to some shit she did. Yeah. And I thought, that is just so neat. They were teenagers then, 15.
Yeah, my son has a synthesizer. They mix and makes, stuff.
I think it's great.
Wants to be a rap artist and stuff like that. And so I'm like, all right, well, carry around your journal. I said, that's where all the raps come from. It comes from your heart. It comes from your emotions.
I was getting ready to say, I was watching that thing with KRS-One and I was like, wow. wow, you know, he
They're
talked
all
about
awesome.
how hip hop was a movement and how when hip hop came, some of the things that hip hop did. And I was like, you know what? He's right.
Mhm.
He's
But people
right.
don't want to
He,
because society wants to shut it down. Is that it's this bad stuff? It's
well,
this.
of course they do, because here's what he said that made the most sense. He said hip hop was a culmination of Martin Luther King's dream.
Mhm.
He said, now you remember, he said, people talked about the dream and all that stuff. He said, but they don't realize that that dream was future casting. That's what that was. He knew he wasn't going to see that shit.
But he knew.
He knew he wasn't going to make it.
Mhm.
But he had that dream, and that was a future casting thing. And hip hop is what made that a reality. Because look at hip hop. Hip hop is different races, different nationalities, different people coming together, getting together, rapping, trying to change the planet. And then these boys are out here doing what they should have been doing all along, trying to make the world a better place.
Mhm. Through music, which
Through music.
to the soul, it gets to the beats, it gets to now, not
Thank
all
you.
lyrics are great, but but not all music lyrics. Look at country, like why do I want to sit here and listen to, my wife cheated on me 10 times with the neighbor, my dog died.
No.
Like I don't want to feel, I want that happy music. I want that happy that, makes me want to get up and dance,
I want happy.
heavy, I've told you, the girls at work, laugh at one of me and my coworkers and stuff like that, because like we dance,
Yeah,
and
that's what you're supposed to do.
us. And oh God,
Girl,
something.
I be dancing walking down the hall.
Yeah.
And the residents be looking at me like this. And then they'll start, because I'll be shaking it and moving it. I'll have, something playing, something hot, something I could bounce to, some Beyonce Breaking My Soul or something. And I'm jumping around and I'm dancing. And then the residents are going, and then they go, and then they go.
It just the smile. I saw a great video the other day, and it was a science experiment. And that's some of the things like I love when these type of things happen. It was a guy, they were like on a metro or something like that, but it was a train, and he was on it looking at his iPad, and he slowly started to and then for 20 minutes he just like increased the level of his laugh to like it became a belly laugh, and that by the end of the 20 minutes every single person on that train was laughing.
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So it was just like I love
because it's infectious.
It's infectious. And
I
so
love it.
So it's negative. So it's like what? Like today there was a lot of negative energy at my job for a while and stuff. And so like I was like, we got to move the energy and stuff. And so I like got up and I started swaying and stuff. I was like, move it. And they're all looking at me and they're like, why are you doing that in public? I was like, doing what? And they're like, oh my God, I could never do that. That's so embarrassing. And I was like, oh, what?
Embarrassing to who though?
And then I would come up behind them and I was like, what? That I'm dancing, I'm shaking my booty on you. And they're like, oh my God, you're so crazy.
Look, are you the old lady in the place?
No, I'm not actually.
Oh.
No.
Because a lot of times that's what I get. That's because you're old. Okay, I'm good with that.
No, actually thinking of it, I'm one of the youngest.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
You work with a bunch of old people.
There's 3. Now they're not that much older, then, but like the stick being up their butts, it's way up there. Way up there.
Yeah, that's rough.
And I didn't really think about that, but yeah, no, like I'm probably like the 3rd youngest. So there's 11 of us in my office. So I'm like the 3rd youngest.
Oh yeah. So you got a bunch of old people.
Yeah.
That makes a difference sometimes. And then you can kind of understand a little bit.
Yeah, but I'm still like, no, like.
But they're not really. I have just said to myself, my desire always is to be a walking prayer, and also just to make sure that I carry the love of God with me. That's my thing. Always.
I am light.
You are light.
I am light. That is like I am light. I am love, and I am divine. And if you don't like it, shove off.
That sounds like 𝐸 Did you hear that song? No. I think it's called I Am Light.
I have no clue.
I was like, wait, did you hear her sing that?
No, I have not seen it, but hey, text me that so I can go back and listen to it, because that might be something I need to hear right now onto it. I might even,
Sometimes that's how that goes.
it's how that goes. That's a secret.
I'm gonna look for that right now.
Beautiful, you know. Like,
All right, my love. It looks like we have exhausted our time. Let me look for this right now. I'm so excited though, because I was struggling earlier and I really didn't know if I was going to be able to do this because I was so exhausted.
I actually felt that. I felt that. I thought that you might actually be like, girl, we might not do tonight.
Girl, I was struggling with it. And but I was like, you know what? I did some work on myself and I was like, let me work on myself and see what I need to do. And I just kind of, sat, what they call it? I sat in the power. I turned on Enigma and I allowed that. Girl, don't you love it? They've got the like 1 hour Satanist. And I just put that on and I just allowed that to flow and just allowed the thoughts to just, do what they do. And, and it was just great. And it felt so good because I was like, Lord Jesus, I don't know if I'm gonna be able to do this because I had eaten something. And then actually I did the lunch. And then I came home and I said, you know what? I'm gonna lay down for an hour because I had a meeting at 4. So I was like, let me lay down. So I laid down and I got my book and I was reading something. And then I just laid there for a while. And I was like, you know what? I feel really good. I feel really good. And so that's what I did. And so then I was like, I got to feel better. I said, because I need to get up because I didn't feel real good last week either. No. And I, when I watched the video, I could tell. And I was like, okay. And so I said, you know what? I got to figure out a way to shift this energy and stuff. Because I'm telling you, girl, when that thing hit me, I feel like I want to just lay down on the ground. That's the way I feel. I was like, oh my God, I could just lay on the ground. And I'm not a ground person, girl. I'm not a camper. I'm a glamper person. I don't sleep on the ground. I ain't going out there. I'm not doing all that. I'm not. That's not me. I was like, nah, camp. No. Is there like a place that I can sleep with a bed in it? Okay.
You're not going to roughneck it, basically.
No, fuck that. Roughnecking is probably the Motel 6, Or what's that other one? The Super 8.
Yeah.
That's roughneck. Or what's those other Red Roof? That's roughneck. Like, no.
I can do the camping thing.
I know you got that camping thing about you,
Yeah.
And I watch you, and I'll check out the pictures and stuff.
Yeah, the whole nature. Now it's funny though, because like the first time I ever went camping, young girl, the nighttime was fine, but then the next day I was like, I want to, you gotta take me back to the cabin. I need to take a shower, and they were like, we ain't going back. And I was like, no, I need to take a shower. And they threw the bar of soap at me and told me to go jump in the lake. And I was like,
The soap?
I threw me a bar of soap and said, go wash yourself off in the lake. Girl, I remember I threw an all out friggin' hissy fit. And I was like, you are taking me back now.
How you do it? See, no, that's not.
I got taken back to the cabin.
Yeah.
I had to take my shower. And I was not doing it in the lake. I'll swim in the lake and everything, but that to me, that's like, I have the rationale. It's like you're swimming around in the animal species that are in there. To me, that is not bathing.
Yeah. That was what I was saying, because I was watching the Serpent Queen, and girl, that thing is so good. I was watching the Serpent Queen, and they were no, it wasn't the Serpent Queen, it was the Woman King.
Yeah.
So they sent the girl to go bathe, right? In this big fucking water with, I guess everybody bathing there.
Well, that's how they
did
it.
I was like, oh, I looked at my husband, I said, yeah, I wouldn't have made it back then. I said, they would have fucking killed me for one thing. I said, the other part is, I would have killed myself. I said, because I'm super sensitive down there. I can't be, like even when I take baths and shit like that, if it's more than me in the tub and, in the house, I scrub my tub off with bleach and all kinds of shit because I'm very, very fucking sensitive. So I was like, I be done got infections and stuff in that water. And that was another thing. I was like, I'm gonna stay. I was like, that helped me get in gratitude for even now in this. Because even this country, you want to leave it and all that stuff, but then you think about the infrastructure in some of these other countries. Because I was supposed to have an interview with one of the ladies in our thing, right, with Sarah, and she said they had their power cut. She's in South Africa.
Oh, you're talking about Nikki?
No, not Nikki. One of the other girls. I wasn't gonna call her name. But she, yeah, so they had their power cut. And I was like, what the fuck? You mean certain times you don't have no power? I mean, how does that work? So I'm thinking, okay, my husband actually said that. He goes, yeah, he goes, baby, you know, you want to go to other countries. He goes, but you got to think about it. He goes, they don't be having infrastructures like what we have, and we complain about what we have. Mm-hmm. He said, but if we go over, over to some of these other places, we'll really complain. And I was like, oh yeah. Oh yeah. Because when I heard that, I was like, what? You don't have power?
That I would, well, the whole power thing, yeah.
And it's not and it's not the hurricane?
Yeah. In today's age, you know, the power, that is kind of mind-blowing with, you know, of all the different energy sources.
That's what I'm saying. That's
for that. But some of the other aspects in the future, I could so adapt to them.
See, and it's okay. It's all right. Like I said, it's all right. My thing is, I don't think I would go and really live in another country, but I might go visit for like months at a time, that kind of thing.
No, I want to go live.
I'm not trying to do all that because I think about shit like that. It's like, I can't even lie. I laugh. I tell people, I'm like, I'm spoiled as shit, and I know it, and it's okay. It
must be.
That's why I said it's okay. But I'm like, no. See, no, because the minute they're telling me some shit like, oh, well, you don't have water today. What the fuck you mean? I got to watch my, gotta watch girlfriend. You gotta have water.
But it is true. There's different ways.
I'm telling you,
different ways of being and different.
I hear people talking. They're like, "Oh, well, I'm like, oh, I don't know about that." Because I really, honestly, I want to go over and visit Africa. I want to go visit the whole continent, everywhere. I want to go to the water. I want to go all over it and see. I just want to see. But that thing hit me when I was watching them in that water and the Woman King, and they were in that big tub. I was like, no.
So you're the one I want to travel with because you're the one who's going to look up all those little aspects of it. And I'm just going to be like, oh, look at the pretty sights. Oh, look at the lights. Let's go here. And then I'm going to get there and be like, oh, so Tammy's going to go with, because she's going to.
Look, no. like I watched, what's her name? Lupita did a documentary about that whole thing about the Woman King. Uh-huh. The people, the homie or whatever. So she did a documentary about it before, because she was supposed to be in the movie too, but she backed out.
Right.
And so the documentary that she did, I didn't finish it yet, but they were talking about, how they were the women warriors, and basically they were the king's wives, all of them, whatever. And but they were badass. And so one of the ladies, her, I think great grandmother or something like that, was taken by these women and put into slavery. And so Lupita was like, I don't know if I agree with that, and this and that and the third. And I thought about that, and I was like, well, the thing of it is you can agree or not agree, but I mean, it happened.
Yeah.
It's truth.
Yeah, it's all true stories.
So you can agree or not agree or whatever. I mean, but it's true, and it ain't like they can fucking change it now. I mean, it was a custom of what they were doing at that time. But anyway, girl, let's get off this live. This has been so fabulous.
Yes, ma'am. Sorry, my phone was going off.
Always enjoy coming on here and talking about whatever it is that we talked about.
everything, because that's the thing that everyone, forgets. It's all intertwined.
Yes.
It's all intertwined, but to create that healing, you have to untwine it. You have to untwine it, the spider webs, the web of life. You got to clear it all out. If you want clarity in life, if you want to see your path, well, everything that's been woven and woved and all of that and the twists and the turns, you got to straighten it all out.
Yep.
You got to make it all clear.
Got to, and just have to, allow. That's the main thing. And you've got to allow and know that it's a journey and that it's beautiful.
It is.
And just as we watch it unfold, it's the beauty of it is like, oh my God. Oh my God. Especially when you realize that you are the master and the creator of your own destiny. That is the thing. It's like you're the creator. If it doesn't look like you want it to look, then fucking go back and recreate it.
But what's even more beautiful than your own healing journey, and this is what I find, is helping the other people do it, and like watching things click, and seeing that peace like come over someone, and like knowing that like I helped them do that, and that I got to be a part of like restoring someone's faith, or
you got to witness it.
I got to witness it, and I got to water that flower. I got to water it, and I got to see it like grow and to blossom
and expand.
That like warms me. Like I just got goosebumps actually saying that, because like I love that. I love making that Garden of Eden so the kingdom never ends.
Yes. It's like, I don't know, to me it just has this, I get this feeling when I'm with someone and I get to just hold space for them and let them know that, everything is all right. It's already all right. I love it. They don't have to wait. It's already all right. We already know.
Yeah.
You already know what the end is.
Yep.
You already know. So it's to me, that's like, oh my God, especially once they get to the place where they realize and recognize that for truth. Because I think that really is the major thing, is people don't realize and recognize it for truth, that it is true. Regardless of what the fuck anybody told you, it's true. And it's true.
Not knowing, that was one thing, like, you say something sometimes and you just don't know why or how or, what. And, the beginning of my spiritual journey, I just kept saying I was going to have the greatest testimony. I was going to have the greatest testimony story of my faith of God. Like, but I didn't know how it was going to play out. I didn't know. And that's the beauty of it. I didn't need to have solutions. I didn't need to. I surrendered and I let it go. And, like I do. I have the greatest comeback story. I have the greatest testimony. I have the greatest version of me.
Mm-hmm.
And being able to witness my own transformation, my own healing, and seeing my light get turned on to be able to be that light for other people. Like, it's like, that's the testimony. That's it.
That is it. It's like, oh my God,
I love you.
Here we are.
Yes. And it's so beautiful. It's so beautiful. So Tammy and I, we have, if you want to join, send us, either one of us an invite, Megan Marie or Tammy Morrison. We do have the Narcissistic Survivors Healing Lounge.
Yeah.
That, we will be posting in and, building that healing community. And it's a safe space, a safe space for you to come and let it go.
Yeah. Come, let it go. Come, heal, share. We're going to be bringing in all kinds of different trainings and opportunities. I try to do mine like 30 minutes or less. Megan is a little longer.
I'm trying to cut down, and I'm going to start going into some lives in the group.
Bite size, So
practical, different, just planting those mustard seeds.
Yeah. And it's good, because the thing is, the only way to get started is to start.
Yes.
And it doesn't matter. And you can start any way that you want to. And the thing is, there's no cookie cutter way to start anything. Mm-hmm. So we've decided that this is what we're going to do. We're going to start here. And, God is our witness. We will be, what we need to be for whoever is joining, channels and wisdom keepers and all of those things that, is necessary and needful. All right. So we will be back on next Wednesday.
Yes, ma'am.
Same bat time, same bat station. Super, super grateful that you guys have joined us. We have had such a blast. It's been so good.
Yes.
And if you have any topics or anything that you want us to discuss related to spiritual growth, especially, please drop it in the comments for us wherever you watch this video, because this video will be on YouTube. It'll be on LinkedIn. It'll also be on Anchor as well. So different places, different platforms, however you want to watch it or listen to it, be our guest. So again, this has been fabulous. As usual, we have always enjoyed this time. And I just want to thank you for joining us. And those of you that are catching the replay, make sure that you hit #replay and let us know where you are watching from, because we'd love to interact with you there. So again, thank you so much for joining us on Ebony and Ivory on Spiritual Growth. Bye now.
Bye.
All right, we're done. Oh, thank you, Jesus. Hallelujah. Praise the
peace.
Lord. I was going to say praise the Lord.
All
right, I will, once I end this, I'll go ahead and send you the links.
All right, that works.
Works?
All right, girl.
All right, love you. Talk
Bye.
to you soon. Bye.